welcome to Just the Facts, episode number 17. And yes, we're wearing the same clothes as 16. You didn't change. I didn't change.
We're in the same studio.
And we're in the same studio. This is awesome. Episode number 17. We're calling this one How to Attract
the Ideal Inventory.
The Ideal Inventory. So, how do you attract the ideal inventory? Now, we got to make a disclaimer here. Like, those that are watching us, our loyal listeners out there, our loyal watchers, if you're watching our vodcast, are saying they're doing inventory again. Why are we doing inventory again, Bob?
Because it's the little nuances that make all the difference in the world. So we wanted to break it apart so that it doesn't blend all together. That's why.
So yeah, instead of watching us for 14 hours, you can watch us in little
they have trouble with
bite size. We have like a 11-minute one, a 25-minute one, in episode number 16. You're like, 25 minutes. Like, that was good stuff, though. We had a really good time on our last episode there on inventory, sell my car, buy your car, all that kind of stuff, right? So on this one, though, we want to kind of really hone in on lease returns. So we're going to look at lease returns because there's a lot of them out there. We've got some pretty big numbers of folks turning in their lease. And ironically enough, I got a text message like 10 minutes ago. Well, actually, it was about 20 minutes ago because we just got off the phone with a relative of mine saying, hey, we want to know what to do with our lease. Ironically enough, we're able to walk them through the whole process, right?
Yep.
So let's talk about how to attract ideal inventory using lease returns.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, dealers have greatly improved because they had no choice over the last year and a half at keeping their lease returns. We've been preaching this now for 4 or 5 years, but sometimes you got to let fate take care of itself. And because of the lack of inventory, dealers are keeping their lease returns, but they're not maximizing their lease returns. And that's what we're going to talk about right now.
Which is important.
Yeah. Well, it's all about inventory, right? And the lack thereof. But it's still to this day, it's the right inventory, right? Almost everything's selling, but do you want to have just anything on your lot? No, you want to have the cars that you believe in, that you want to sell, that you can be profitable with. And that's the ideal inventory. But you see, the ideal inventory in the used car industry is 4 to 6 years old with 48 to 72,000 miles on it. That is the ideal inventory. That's what sells the fastest. An average of 12,000 miles less a year. When it sells for half of what it sold for brand new, 50% mark, that is the ideal turning point. And, those are nowhere to be found. You can't.
No. Where the heck would I find those cars?
At the ideal inventory auction.
That's right. The ideal inventory auction on 123 ABC Street in San Antonio.
In Disney World.
Where is that? Yeah, Disney World.
No, that's why. Because you can only get them out of your service department. Every now and then you get lucky and trade for one, but that doesn't happen at dealers a lot. Why? Because when you look at their used car inventory and where it comes from, the average trade-in on a new car is 1 to 3 years old. 1 to 3 years old, because it is a new car customer who always wants a new model, so their car is typically 1 to 3 years old, right? The average trade-in on a true used car is 7+ years old, right? It's a little different with COVID, but under normal circumstances, someone trading in a car in a 5-year-old car is older than that. So typically they're 7 years old. So here's the thing. The ideal inventory doesn't get traded in by those two methods. And when you look at most inventory on a dealer's lot, they're usually 1-year-old fleet cars that they bought, or they're old used cars. Why is that? Because it's actually certified pre-owned that trades for the ideal inventory. The average trade-in on a certified pre-owned is 4 to 6 years old. Falls right in the exact sweet spot. So what's the ideal certified pre-owned? 2 to 4 years old. 2 to 4 years old, not 1-year-old. What are 2 to 4 years old? There's the point of our topic today, lease returns. You maximize your lease returns by turning them into certified pre-owned units. When they're true certified pre-owned units, they will attract 4 to 6 year old trade-ins. That's how you maximize your lease returns, by turning them into certified pre-owned. Okay. Now, then why wouldn't everybody do it? Right? It makes perfect sense.
That's a great question. Why wouldn't everybody do it?
Because dealers have fallen into a trap. Right? A trap.
That couldn't happen.
It absolutely
No,
happens.
not to the people watching this.
It happens. And here's what happens. They've been so fine-tuned and so ingrained in market pricing everything and using evaluation tools that look at everything as a year, make, model, and miles component, that they don't give their lease returns the due they deserve, meaning they're worth more than an average car. What do I mean by that? A personal lease return is the highest sought after vehicle by consumers. Why? Because all of the public have the perception that a lease return personally owned is meticulous, because they all know horror stories. The reason your relative called is because it's a 36,000 mile lease and they're already at 34,000 miles with 6 months to go.
Yep.
So
you don't just want to park it, right? Like, what do you do?
So everyone's heard horror stories of turning in a car with too many miles, turning in a car that's not been maintained, all those things. And so that's why people who lease cars rent cars to go on vacation, because they have that mileage cap. So here's the thing. Lease returns are worth more money than a rental car. It's just the facts, right? Not only that.
Just the fact.
Just the facts. Not only that, but when you take into account the fact that it's a one owner, that's been well maintained, because most of those came with service agreements, and you have done all the service and maintenance on that car. It's got 12,000 miles less a year. What sells well new, sells well used. It meets every criteria there is as to why a car is worth more than the car next to it, which is the same year, make, model, and miles, right? History matters. So now, because the plentifulness of inventory 2 years ago, people would just go out and buy rental car fleets from Enterprise or National, or whoever they'd buy them from, at auctions, or from fleet tailors, or from all those people, and they could buy those cars $2,000 less. So therefore, they didn't want to pay $2,000 more for a lease return, right? That was a mistake. People are getting educated about that now. But now here's the caveat. When you already feel as a dealer that you paid top of market for a vehicle, you do not want to immediately invest an additional fee to certify that car, because your fear is that you're going to be priced out of market. But that's not the case, because the market adjusts based on cars, not based on make, model, year, and miles. So in any given marketplace, the highest retail evaluation in that marketplace is a factory certified frontline vehicle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you certify that car up front the way you're supposed to, then you would be on the CPO filter when you're listing the car, right? Dealers say, well, I'll just offer that as a additional warranty, and we'll do same day cert. Everyone knows what I'm talking about, and I'm not the CPO police here. But what I am telling you is you miss out on the number one benefit of certifying a car. That is the certified filter. Listen, at Carfax, approximately 15% of the traffic clicks the CPO filter. Now, what does that mean? It means that consumer sees enough value in a certified car to only want to look at certified car. That consumer will pay more for a certified car because they see the value. That is exactly who you want looking at that car. So take your lease returns, grab them all, turn them into certified pre-owned the right way, certify the car, list the car as certified, do the right thing, and watch what comes in on trade. The average trade-in on a 2 to 4 year old certified pre-owned vehicle is 4 to 6 years old, which is the ideal inventory you cannot find anywhere else.
Now, these returns are great, but when it comes to sometimes the manufacturer selling back to the dealer, we hear this comment a lot, is they want too much money for it. So what do you do with that? they want too much money for it. Is that true?
No. What is true is the dealer believes it's too much money. And the reason the dealer believes it's too much money is because they're looking at average market pricing using tools that throw everything in the same bucket. So in the same bucket, you will have a accident triple green rental car, which happens to have the same year, make, model, and miles as a personal lease return. Those are not the same cars.
Not at all.
And there is a $2,000 difference in the value of those cars. And that's where the dealer gets misled and starts believing that the lease returns are too much. Now, are they all perfectly priced? Absolutely not. But here's the truth. Today, wholesale's up 35%.
Mm-hmm.
I was at a dealer. I was literally at a dealer last week who, and we'll keep the brand out of it. I don't need to target anybody. Customer turned in a lease just because they're done with it. Don't want anything else to do with it. Here, you can have it back. It was $8,000 below market.
Wow.
They literally sold it in 3 days and made $8,000 on that car.
Wow.
They didn't steal it. They were just doing what they were supposed to do. The customer just dropped it off and went away.
Here it is.
And here it is. So it is absolutely, if you think about it, we did these evaluations 3 years ago with an educated guess what it would be worth in 3 years. And guess what? We're wrong in a positive direction now. We're 35% wrong, right? Evaluations today are up 35%.
That's a big number.
A big number. So maximize your lease returns, and how you do that is turn them into manufactured certified pre-owned and attract the ideal inventory.
And you don't work for any of the manufacturers. I mean, you're saying that coming from some of the research that we've done and working with some of the manufacturers and dealers out there to really start to maximize that profitability.
Our job is to be a partner in the industry. That's who we are. We never claim to be a vendor. We're a partner. Part of our advantage internally is that we work with 30,000 dealers and we work with every manufacturer, Orgo Mazda, when it comes to certified pre-owned. We're partnered with literally
You just make a call out?
No, I'm just being honest. We don't have them all. You can't say them all if you don't have them all.
But Mazda, if you're listening,
we're missing one. But here's the point. We have a tremendous amount of data on what's working today. We have that better than anybody. Our footprint is nationwide. Our exposure is industry-wide, and we put all those data points together to be able to share best practices, which is why this is a different video on the same topic, because there's little nuances that matter, and you don't want to just put them all in a bucket.
And that's not a commercial. That's just the reality of what's going on in today's marketplace, of taking advantage of some of the things that you can control. And lease returns is one of the big ones. And I know, we're talking really to the franchise dealer right now that has that with the lease returns, but that's what it is. And that's how you can really start to make some profit off of some of those lease returns. I think it's an amazing subject.
The biggest thing is to get the ideal inventory. That's the goal here, is inventory. This whole last 5 months has been inventory.
It sure has.
This is just another example of how you can control what you have control of. You have 100% control over lease returns and what you do with them. Buy them, put them in inventory, turn them into CPO, and get you the 4 to 6 year old inventory you desire.
That's great. I have nothing else to add or even ask. I think that's just plain and simple.
And here's the thing. Doesn't matter the brand, doesn't matter the location, doesn't matter if it's a domestic, import, or highline, they're all affected the same way. So this is a blanket answer. We don't usually give those.
We don't.
You did now.
But we do want to thank you for tuning in to another episode of Just the Facts. Make sure you watch episodes you haven't viewed before right there on our YouTube channel or wherever you find your favorite podcasts or vodcasts that are out there. We'll see you next time on Just the Facts.
Be safe, everybody.